Hi there, my name is Dayo, and I really want to talk to you today about something I have seen over time, which is not just a situation that's happened to me, but I've also seen a couple of friends talk about it as well. And it is basically how, availability bias leads to learned helplessness. And what do I mean? Um, Essentially, people find themselves in situations where it seems like they are having the same results over and over again. It's like the same pattern is repeating itself over and over again, and it's like that cycle cannot stop, or there is nothing that they can do to actually stop it. And if you really look at it on a deeper level, what you would really find is that when things happens like that, it's usually a function of some bias or some repeated knowledge that people have just held on to, and that's really where availability bias comes in. And what availability bias does is essentially that within your frame of reference and worldview and the way you process things in life, you are likely going to keep making the same decisions, keep taking the same steps based on the things that you have experienced before and the things you are already familiar with. And what this does for you is that you are going to get the same results over and over again, because the main factors that are influencing your decisions have not changed over time. And so what you will see is that time has passed, but the same results and the same patterns keep happening, because the underlying information and the principles that people live by, that they practice in their lives, have remained the same. And so you see that the passing on of time has brought experience, but that experience is creating the same result because the experience is rooted in the same knowledge and same information that people have. And so if this happens after a while, what it does to people is basically people get to a space where it's like they are helpless. They really can't change things. It's like no matter what they do, they really can't move outside of this cycle of repeated outcomes, and that's where a lot of people get frustrated and they're tired as well, because like there's nothing that they can do, right? The same thing keeps happening over and over again. And I'm sure it's something that you've also seen, and heard from other people as well, where they're like, it's just there's nothing that I can do. It seems like nothing is going to change. There are people that after a while, for instance, if you stayed out of a job for a while and you've been applying and applying and applying, there comes a point where you sort of feel like, it seems like I'm not going to get anything. It seems like it's the same thing that is going to happen as well. It's like I've done everything. And that's a place where people get to, where it's like they have done everything. Right, it's like I've done everything I need to actually do. I made all the change that I've made, but it seems like there is nothing that is changing in that sense, But one thing I would like you to actually notice, that when you are in a place where it seems like you have done everything and it's like nothing is going to change, or nothing looks like it's going to change at anytime soon, right? The secret really is for you to go back to the first principles. That is, look at the steps that you have taken, what you're currently doing, or what you have done in the past, and begin to kind of break it down into different parts and question each of them. Okay, so this decision that I made here, why did I make this decision, right? This position that I took, that I said, oh, I think this is the right thing. Why do I think this is the right thing? Because a lot of times the things that we know that influence our decisions, that we hold as truth, that we hold there, a lot of times are not really so, right? There are a lot of influences that we get from friends, from family, subconsciously, right? People advise you, and sometimes great advice, good advice, but the advice might be already, tailored from someone's perspective, and that's basically, indirectly might even shape your frame of reference and the way you see things and the way you process information. So the first thing you need to do basically is to go back and reevaluate what you've been doing, right? And then look at it from a different perspective. Ask questions again, right? What have I been doing? Why am I doing it this way? What steps did I take? A lot of times you would see that when you break things apart and you put them into small pieces and you begin to take them step by step, you will really get new insight and new direction, into what you should do. And the truth really is that when you are in a place where it seems like the same thing is happening over and over again, it's usually some knowledge, some framework that is really causing the repeated patterns or the repeated outcomes. And it is knowledge based. A lot of times it is knowledge based, right? It's in terms of either you being blindsided to, certain things that you should do, or it might be also be based on maybe your reaction generally to events as well. So these are some of the things that when you really sit down, right, and this is what happens to a lot of people, is that people just say, yeah, I've tried everything, but the truth is they've not really sat down to actually look at it. Because sometimes people, and it is, I know it's difficult, right, that people get emotional about the outcomes because they've put a lot of effort into things and it's not yielding the results that they want, or maybe it's the same that is happening. And so the secret is really sit down and ask yourself, right? Break things apart. At this point, this was what I did. This was what the problem. Why did I do it this way? Did I do it the right way? Even the right way I thought was the way to actually do it, right? Is that information accurate? Is that information right? Oftentimes, you would see that, sometimes it might just be small blocks or small frameworks of knowledge that you have held there that might not really be so, and it is those little changes, the tailoring that you do, the tweaks that you do as well, that basically makes the bigger impact. But it starts from the small steps. And so my advice really is that if you're in that space where it seems like the same things have been happening over again, first thing is that you are not really helpless, right? There is always something you can do to change it, and that is really like the first thing that you need to start with, that there is something that you can actually do to change it, right? It's not like, oh yeah, this is going to keep going over again. No, what you need to change it essentially is that revisit the situations and circumstances that have happened, right? And then take time and pieces it, break it down, and then begin to look at it from, as much as possible from a neutral point of view, right? Okay, I did this at this point. Why did I do this? Why did I take this step? What is it that I really want to actually do, and you would begin to find out, insights that would help you, make different decisions and navigate things differently. And so if you find yourself in that kind of place right now, the first thing that I want to advise you to do is first understand that you are not helpless, right? There is something you can actually do, even though it seems like you've been doing everything. And what you need to do, the first step that you need to actually take, is to sit down, break down your previous experiences, learn more about it, what it is that, what body of knowledge you've been working with, right? Question that and be sure, so that you can actually know if you've been working with the right knowledge or the knowledge you thought was right, but it's not so, all right? And that happens a lot of times where we think that something should happen in a certain way, right? But that is not actually true. And no matter how dear you hold that, no matter how much you believe it, right? There are key principles that that would help you advance, and it is in your best interest to basically learn how some of those things work. Also, like, talk to people that have done it as well, right? That can be honest and open enough to basically share experiences, and basically look at that as well and see things that you can get from that process also, right? Finally, it's essential for you to sort of understand that you can always create a new beginning. Like, you can always create a new pattern, you can create a different result for yourself, but it starts with you evaluating what it is that you have done in the past with honesty and clarity, and then take a look at the steps you've taken and then evaluate them and try to make new decisions different from what you've done before in the past. Thank you.